Okay, we are back on the desk as I'm perhaps a bit out of focus here, but that's fine because the focus is going to be on these two teams we have coming up in game number 2. It's CGA Crest Gaming Act versus Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming. Always giving me a diction check with that one. And gentlemen, I think it's safe to say that on a good day for CGA, the power levels of these teams are pretty similar.
Yes.
However, we do happen to have a man on the desk here by the name of Middlecott, who's an expert on CGA on their bad days. So tell me, what has to go right in this one here for CGA to be able to contest a SoftBank Hawks team that is really on the rise right now?
Yeah, I think that there are three lanes that I want to focus on, which is convenient because that's the number of lanes that there are in the game. Mid
Yeah,
lane,
three.
I think the key for CGA here is stability. I think the issues that we've had with Kaito in the past and something that we're seeing a little bit from Cocoon, but the champion pool is kind of evening it out, is that the mid laner tends to fall quite far behind early. And doing that against a player like Dasher is always going to bode badly for you because of how strong he is as a player, playing either carries or a more roaming enabling style. So, rule number one, make sure that mid lane isn't on fire. Then we look at the second lane, top lane. This is where the secondary carry usually comes from CGA. It's snap on either a Gwen or on a GP. If he can be on those champions, if he can be left alone to scale, then he's going to be absolutely fine. Kinatsu hasn't really looked like as aggressive a player over the past two splits as he was last year on Rascal Jester. So I think there's a bit more room for Nap to maneuver. And then third, the bot lane. This is the big one. Marble has been looking like a very, very strong carry for the Hawks. But on the other side, for CGA, Hybrid is the carry. He is the definition of AD carry because that's all he does. Attack, damage, and carry. If you can enable him, if you can get him through the early stages with a couple of kills, then it doesn't matter if he's playing like AD and Nivea or something. I trust this man to carry.
Oh, that's well, I don't want to see it, but maybe he could make it work there, Middlecott. Swan, I do want to hone in on something in particular that Middlecott has said here, which is Marble has looked to be shaping up into a very big carry here for the Hawks. And this was sort of a player we had high expectations for coming out of the Academy system last year with V3, that undefeated Academy roster. And I think it really speaks to the excitement of new up and coming talent in the LJL. You've been here, you're the elder statesman longer than anybody. What is it in particular that has impressed you about Marble in comparison from this split to last split, where he didn't look to land on his feet quite as gracefully?
Yeah, so honestly, first things first, his laning phase has had a great improvement from split to split. This is something that we've seen a lot of other academy slash amateur players coming into the OJ on their first split really struggle with. Milan is a fantastic player, an example, who's still playing in academy for Crest Gaming Act. Their former AD carry. We had the Milan effect where AD carries on Misfortune because she was hugely prevalent in the meta, where you would just ult the wave. Something that Marble was actually very similarly doing on the few other champions, especially in his first split, was struggling hugely in the laning phase, and definitely wasn't making things easy for Rainer either, his support. However, coming in between here and now, he seems to have figured out a way to get through the laning phase as effectively as possible as Reiner. And then once they're out of it, oh my god, does this kid have some damage numbers per minute? Because, oh boy, will he find ways of getting it. He's not always ending up actually being the defining carry for the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming, but oh my god, is he a fantastic late game insurance policy. They don't have to throw a lot of gold into him, but he will make it work. But guess what? He actually has more gold thrown into him pre 15 minutes than any other AD carry. So go figure that out, Dodge. He just accrues it.
I'm not good at math. Maybe
Me
it's
too.
a hidden passive. Maybe they have to nerf him. Maybe he's a bit too OP. He's just attracting gold. But yeah,
he's
very...
got that gold effect, you know, when Sonic, where you bounce on the box and all the rings come to you. That's Marble.
Oh, indeed. He's got the Green Hill Zone buff going on. But I think it is very, very good to see that we have this promising rookie coming in and looking quite impactful now in his second split. We also have not necessarily rookies per se, but substitutes, new players to the league coming in over for Crest Gaming Act here, Middlecott. And can you sort of break down for me what the difference has been of the CGA with a new support coming in, and what exactly has changed up for them compared to the last iteration before these substitutes?
So the thing about Primo coming in for Nemra is I'm not actually sure if this is the optimal roster for Crest Gaming at right now. I think that maybe if they have Cocoon in the mid lane, who has come up from Academy, and then stick with Nemra in the bottom side, that would be the best way for this team to play out. But if we are going to be seeing Cocoon and Primo like we have for the past few games, Primo seems very, very keen to engage. And that's both a compliment and a detraction from him, because we saw similar stuff coming out from Loser actually when he first came into the league, playing stuff like the Amumu, playing stuff like the Nautilus, definitely going forward, maybe not always going forward in the best of scenarios. So I think that for Primo, he's bringing a bit more aggression, whereas Nemar is slightly more tempered in his play, but I think that could be a bit more of a disadvantage than an advantage necessarily. In the mid lane, though, I'm a big fan of Cocoon. I sort of alluded to it earlier, the champion pool. Kaito has been very, very limited in his time in the LGL with the champions that he's actually willing and able to play effectively. Cocoon seems much more comfortable on stuff like the Azir, stuff like the Talia, these long-range control mages that have really started to come back into the meta, and that gives CGA an option, not necessarily to play through the mid lane, but to give them a little bit more stability so that these side lanes can really pop off.
That is a solid stamp of middle cot approval here on Cocoon. So definitely going to be keeping my eyes in that mid lane matchup here. And in terms of momentum and standings here, as I do just check to make sure I have this correct. Don't want to be incorrect here. Crest Gaming Act can really secure themselves a good spot in the standings here if they do pick up this win. We already saw Burning Core, the 6th place team that was trying to also climb the standings, stay ahead of Axis here in the playoff hunt. They did fall today, so CGA really trying to secure themselves a spot into the playoffs. They can do so with the Hawks in front of them here, but the Hawks are in that 3rd place spot. They took down Sengaku recently. They really proved themselves that they do belong near that top of the table. Do CGA have a chance to upset the apple cart here, or is it going to be Hawks sort of staying the course with their new top team form and just coming out and stomping here today?
I'll be honest, there's a small chance that if the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks win here and they keep winning, they could maybe play curveball to a Sengoku who might not be quite working out in the 2nd phase of this split. And I would be interested to see how that goes. We've got another round robin to completely fill as well. So, I mean, there's still a lot to play for, and Sengoku undefeated. They have now lost 2 games in what feels like back-to-back fashion. DFM looked to be the best team, and Crest Gaming Act, a win here would very much put you in 3rd or 4th slot, which is kind of, well, it wouldn't put you 3rd, it would put you like 4th, 5th slot, and you'd be locking that kind of area, and that's where you want to be. If more wins, greater. Let's also get over the hump, because CJ almost always ends the split on an even record, so they need to get some wins on there to actually get there.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can collect the win here in game number 2 on the day, because it is time for draft. Gentlemen, I will see you after the game. Let's hope for a banger.
Hey, I want a banger. Do you want a banger, Lexi?
Of course I want a banger.
I want a banger. As, yes, we are on to Champion Select, and Callisto hitting the ban table for the 10th game in a row. The Hawks focusing a lot actually on this AD carry pool, this Sivir as well, these sort of new AD carries that have been rising to prominence, and CGA gone full meta with their first 2 bans, the Poppy and the Talia, but you've always got to take care of the Rhino-Rel, because he can absolutely pop off on that pick.
Oh god, seeing random pocket pick champions getting banned away, it reminds me of Siros and DFM. Oh, feels good, man, feels good. But Yumi, the magical cat that was seen in Players, that TV show that you should all probably go watch regardless. The magical cat was the key for everything for Fugitive, but will it be the key for everything for CJ? Is quickly locked in for the Hawks. It's Zeri and Wukong as well.
Yeah, the monkey in the jungle, not something that really has been favored by Blank too much this split. It has been a lot more of that Poppy, but the Zeri kind of just that tier 1 AD carry. It's just really not much better than it. It does have a few counters though. With CJ picking up that Yumi, that does allow the possibility of a Twitch to come through. And boy, oh boy, Lexi, I'm so excited to see Hybrid pilot this.
All right, this is going to be an assassin Twitch, covert missions with a cat as well. It's going to be literally them versus the world, I have a slight suspicion that it might be. But Zeri is one of these champions where with a Lulu, you can kind of go toe to toe. So it's going to be very important to see how the support matchup. I'm almost more intrigued what the support is because I know both the AD carry players are very proficient. It's like, okay, Joanna, what are you going to play? You've never been good on enchanters, so this is a big one to pull. But we haven't talked about Kassin picking up her Hecarim, interestingly enough.
Yeah, this isn't really a pick that we've been seeing too much recently. I think there have been whispers of it. I think Gilius played it once in the LEC a couple days ago. So we'll have to see whether Kassin is going to be able to pilot the horsey to victory. As the Hawks rounding out their bottom lane with the Nautilus.
I would have preferred the Lullaby. That's just because I always prefer it. But also, when you're against the Zeri, I seriously do stick to the idea. Just simple, straightforward stun effects are just so good at locking down this champion. Remember, the ultimate pick against Zeri was that Nautilus. Now it's with her, so it's gonna be an interesting spot that Chris Game Reactor are going to find themselves in, as they don't really have any good hard CC and are actually locking them down in place with Zeri. But regardless, as the rest of the pick and ban phase, mid lane is getting targeted. Azir and Sylas hugely. Dasher, you are not going to be allowed to pop off on a Sylas, which I think is fair. And Cocoon, as you already mentioned, that Azir and Victor to a point have been so important to them.
Yeah, well, and the Talia as well banned themselves by CGA, so we have to see a new champion out of that man in the mid lane and really see if that champion pool that we touched on during the pre-game is actually wide enough to cope with what is going to be thrown at him. I wouldn't be surprised if the Hawks actually just go towards something like a Gnar in this second phase and leave that counter pick available for Dasher.
Yeah, I think that would be probably the smartest move you could make. It's still top tier, top lane champion for them. Versatility, Gnar works as well, really well with this complement, as you said. So yeah, that's where it gets locked in. And now it comes to CGA. So I want them to blind, honestly. I was gonna say Vex, and then I was like,
maybe not. Well, I think that in the top lane, at least, we can talk about stuff like the GP and the Shyvana. For Nap, those are both champions that have pretty decent matchups into the Gnar, and the GP is something that historically Nap has had so much success on, getting to those late game team fights, the barrel chains, deleting health bars.
The issue I have with a GP being locked in is, again, it's another champion that you can't really get the Zeri. So again, this Marble will be allowed to pop off on this champion. I would have actually preferred a Cho'Gath here for Nap over in the top lane. But then I guess that's not really matter, and it doesn't have a great time versus them. But this is a champion that has a lot of lockdown. Lissandra, if they lock it in.
Yeah, you want something guaranteed on to the Zeri. That's why the Nautilus is so good, because you can just press R at her, and she's CC'd, and you can kill her. Lissandra, very, very similar modus operandi, and that little bit of extra setup means that stuff like the GP barrels, or maybe the sort of Twitch ult bullets that wouldn't have connected onto Zeri because she's moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, are a lot more reliable. The thing about Lissandra as well is that she doesn't get completely ruined in a lot of mid lane matchups. So CGA bringing a bit more of that stability that we've been asking for in the middle part of the map, and Dasher responding with the Orianna, a pick that is good, but doesn't really set the game on fire.
No, a lot of this, it's going to be very interesting because a lot of this damage is going to be put on Blank to an extent, to Marble to an extent, to Dasher to an extent, but it's you're not expecting anybody to hard carry on the side of the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks except for Marble, really, because that is the quote carry player of that team. The rest of them, it's kind of accidental if they end up popping off, but they absolutely could in their matchups.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. I think the Hawks definitely have room to maneuver, but it does become a skill element for me. I think that if Ganatsu is actually able to outplay Nap on this Gnar into the GP, it can go really, really well for you, but generally that is a lane that GP is going to be quite happy scaling into. The Twitch Yuumi is a traditional counter into the Zeri, but the thing about a Nautilus into Zeri lanes is you kind of get the 2-for-1 special. The hook basically onto 2, the dredge line basically onto 2. So you're going to have to be really, really careful if you're hybrid in this bot lane, because if you get picked, you can get deleted so quickly.
He's always careful. He's never been caught out of position. I have no idea what you're talking about, Middlecott.
Yeah, no, I realised as I was saying it that it's maybe a bit much to ask for Hybrid because he has had those hyphy plays where he goes a little bit too far forward, and oftentimes I feel like it's because he's felt it's needed of him to be
Agreed.
over walls on the Ezreal because he has been this sole carry for a while. But CGA have definitely started to open up the map a little bit in terms of who is able to actually provide that damage for them. Cocoon, actually, over 3 games, second highest damage per minute in the LJL. I'm not saying he's the next Aria, but
I mean, his CSD is like -17,
let's
so
let's
I
not
mean,
talk. Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it, Lexi. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the game.
yes.
As we are on to Summoner's Rift for the second game of day 14, Crest Gaming Act versus the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming. 6th versus 3rd. Action guaranteed.
And that's also probably the cutest ever recall animation of any champion. Of the Yumi getting the little head scratch. Oh my god. That's immortalized as well now. Like that player, the player has actually escaped me from Edward Gaming.
Ah, yeah. Oh, ooh. Oh, yes,
Just one
Wolfskin.
world.
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Oh,
I feel
Lord.
bad now.
Oh,
this is like,
Lord.
it just
See-
happened.
See, this is the
Oh
thing.
no!
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, dear. Things have gone badly at the level 1 for Crest Gaming Act. The Hawks are going to be very happy with that first blood pickup, and it is on Marble. It is on the Zeri. It is on the main carry for this composition.
And now the team is just in a spot where they're just gonna have to play recall because, like, now they're gonna just get counter jungled middle cart. And where can Kassin? They're just gonna have to try and cut this map in half top side. It feels
Yeah.
risky, really.
Yeah, especially when you do have the engage potential from this Nautilus on the bottom lane, and we saw Steel on the Wukong go for a level 2 gank in the last game. Not going to be seeing something similar this time around, but you can already see the pressure that hook from Reiner can put out.
Yeah, and the other fact is they know that the bot side is going to be just a completely scary place. Is Hybrid and Primo at the moment. Like they are so all in on the idea that just clear the wave as best we can, but they're already having to sack it up because if Reiner just comes a little bit too far forward. And look at this, Hybrid is like, so we've got to just protect our bot side jungle at this point.
And this is kind of just like your lot. Maybe you can steal away. No, it doesn't even get it.
God.
Blank's going to pick up the big Krug, and 1 CS on your AD carry after 2 waves is not an ideal state for Crest Gaming Act, as Marble really gaining massive advantages in the early stages, and they might be looking for a dive. It could be going from bad to worse for Crest Gaming Act as Liner flashes forward onto the Hybrid. The exhaust dropped onto the Nautilus. He is going to be taken down. It is a trade in the bot lane. And Blank is also going to be taken low, but not fall down. A second kill going onto Marble. This Zeri is going to be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, and there's also just one turret plate, boom, about to go over to them. That's 160 gold. As I said, though, Kassin, this whole time while this has been happening, has cut the top side in half, okay? Kanatsu is playing 2v1 this game now. So we saw bot lane is heavily focused onto the side of the Hawks. Kanatsu, how good are you at playing weak side? A style of weak side that you've never had to play before because you were that carry player in the top side. So what are you going to do? How is the side of the Fukuoka Hawks going to respond to this? And it'll be interesting to see. That deep vision already getting caught out. Kassin knows what's up and he can go for a repeat one, but Reiner, oh my god.
Yeah, Reiner roaming into the mid lane. Cocoon taken low. Not forced to burn any defensive summoner spells, but already you're seeing that Hawks feel like the stronger team in this matchup. They are much more willing to dictate the pace of these early stages, and that's really where we've seen CGA fall in the past when they're not able to keep it calm in the early stages and rely on Hybrid and Nap to be these big late game carries.
Yeah, and with that, they're also able to push the lane in because Cocoon obviously had to use that TP on that first blood that happened play. So huge wave, cannon wave, just getting completely sacked over. So that's so much experience as well as gold as well going over. And now Dasher gets to reset with the rest of his team. Blank also reset. And as long as nothing terrible happens on the bot side of the map, first dragon should be the Hawks as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can just look at it in terms of the AD carry item differential. Hybrid there, Doran's in a refillable. Marble got a full-on Noon Quiver. Like, the lead that this Zeri has at the moment is absolutely crazy. Reiner searching just at the front of this wave can deny Hybrid the ability to move forward, and Cocoon cheating to try and get a little bit of vision as well. Normally, Lexi, I'd be really, really worried. But CGA have shown the ability in the past to come out of dire scenarios. Hawks need to keep playing forward, otherwise there is the possibility that CGA find a random fight in the mid game that they just somehow win.
Yeah, and what I like about this at the moment is Hawks are stacking waves, right, to crash. They've got a wave stacking top, they've got a wave stacking bot. Mid has just crashed, by the way. So they are completely relying on the idea that CJ have no idea where Blank currently is. Blank's currently just clearing up the rest of his jungle, and then he's going to have freedom to go along to this dragon. Important thing to note, though, when it comes to the TPs, Kinatsu actually TP back to the top side, whereas Nap actually didn't use that. So if the fight was to break out in mid, in bot side, Nap would be able to join, but Cocoon wouldn't be able to. Dasher never has that because he's on that spellbook. So it's going to be a lot to play for, and that's why you're seeing them set up around this bot side. But that's where the differential in experience is coming from Blank and Kassin, because Kassin has spent so much more time jungling, whereas Blank was doing that counter invade on bot side, got that second dragon, got that kill, and now we're just rotating back around the map once again.
I like that, Lexi. You referred to farming camps as jungling, and what Blank was doing, like getting objectives, ganking, that's not jungling. No, it's not. No. You want to be clearing through your jungle. I think important to note as well, whilst Nap also has that TP advantage, the cannon barrage available for the GP is such an incredible tool at dissuading a lot of these dives coming through. So if the Hawks want to continue to make plays onto Hybrid and Primo in the bot side, they're going to need to take that into account and make sure that their damage calculators are working properly.
Not only that, you want to get some poke actually onto Hybrid. Remember the first time they actually did that? Hybrid was basically full health, and they just brute forced the dive onto Hybrid, and Primo was able to still live. Ayumi still lives. That's not meant to happen. I play a lot of Yumi from time to time, and that champion has like 400 base health.
It's not a lot.
You can kind of awkwardly look at her. Probably 3 Zeri auto attacks will kind of do it. When I say Zeri auto, I mean Qs, but you
know what they mean. The burst fire, the Q,
the thing.
They finally put skill shot auto attacks into League of Legends, and what do you know? It's one of the most broken things that we've ever seen.
Yep, and it's also ended up having the Hawks have a 30 CS gold lead in this bot lane. And remember, I'm going to just take us back to the very beginning of this cast. Hybrid is going to be their carry player. How's that looking at the moment?
It's not looking good. It's not looking good.
So this is where the backup plans start coming in, right? So where should we start looking at the map? Is it Cocoon? Is it going to be Kassin? Is it maybe going to be Nap?
Well, with the phase, I think Nap is the most likely candidate. With the phase rush on the Hecarim, it does imply a more tank-focused build rather than something like the Conqueror, which obviously pairs up very, very well with a Divine Sunderer or a Trinity Force. So I think the onus is going to be on Nap to really be a bit more of a primary carry than we usually see to him. And so if CGA can put some resources into this GP, try and get him online a little bit sooner, that's only going to benefit them. However, we're talking about gaining extra resources. Hawks already claiming that first rake, now making a play onto the Herald. And if you can put this into that Zeri lane, Marble could just be an entire item up on Hybrid very, very shortly.
Oh, and talking about this, everybody from the side of the Fukuoka Hawks rotated, except Marble, because Marble wanted to catch that wave. Marble wanted to stay in. He doesn't want to lose any form of experience. However, that has meant he was alone, but they haven't seen that Reiner has joined him. Now, it will be important to know, okay, Reiner did show his face, so Kassin knows, okay, now the Nautilus is back. Let's see what we can try and get. I know my timers, though, as I'm a big brain jungler, Kassin. Is he able to steal this successfully and get away with it scot-free from the looks of things?
Yeah. And that's really sort of building that XP difference, or that we need to see, I guess, from this Hecarim. As Reiner moving over is going to be connecting with the dredge line, and Marble actually getting first rotate as well. Managed to force the Hecarim off of that Skull Crab. That means that Blank could just roam over and pick it up.
Okay. I mean, I guess consolation prize for taking the Herald was the blue buff for Kassin, and that was it. How is Kanatsu proxy farming a GP?
It's very, very weird. It's very, very weird, Lexi.
I'm confused about a lot of the things that are happening in this game. The only thing that doesn't confuse me at the moment is the gold difference at the very top of the screen. It's about 1.5k gold lead, realistically, considering with waves and everything crashing at the moment. And most of that gold is currently funneled into marble. Outside of that, the rest of this match is pretty even across the map. I mean, arguably, it's slightly actually favored for Nap at the moment in that top side, where when you look at CS, he's been able to pick up about a wave over Kanatsu. And I think that partly just comes out of the fact of just better laning proficiency, arguably.
Yeah, it's not the worst matchup as well for GP, but something key, I think, for Marble here is that they've actually opted towards the cleanse. So many times you'll see an AD carry get really, really fed, but because they don't have any way of dodging out of CC, the first thing that hits them just ends up killing them. So that means that even if Cocoon now does dive in and find that Glacial Tomb onto the Zeri, they're able to take a little bit more time, as we now see Blank summoning the Rift Herald in this bot lane. And with the priority that the Hawks have generated for themselves, this is going to be falling down very, very rapidly. Although the final chapter, able to dissuade any further aggression. So it's the tower, but no kills.
That's okay. You'll take first tower. That's a huge bucket load of gold just going in. Full turret platings as well. So this isn't a bad spot for the side of the Hawks. And hey, if anything, it just tells them, don't push it. There might be a Kassin floating around. And there actually was.
Yeah, but Blank is going to go forward regardless with the Cyclone. A level down on the Hecarim, but it doesn't really seem to matter. Exhaust and Ultimate actually expended from Hybrid here. CGA using a few tools, the Hawks using a few, but neither team finding a decisive advantage.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the advantage does go to Hawks because they did still secure that turret in the bot side, and they are going to be able to rotate around and try and get this dragon, which, hey, they're dragon stacking, they're turret stacking, they've got objective stacking, and CGA, where's the good thing that's going for you at the moment? I'm struggling to find that one thing.
Yeah. Copium Nap is even in CS.
That's bad, mate. He was ahead.
Yeah, he was ahead. Hey, a few more are going to come in. He's going to even it up. But
It'll be fine.
Yeah, and I like what we're seeing from the Hawks. Whilst they've not really accelerated this game in terms of kills, they've definitely accelerated the map state, taking down that bot lane tower, taking another Drake away as well. These are permanent advantages that are going to benefit you throughout the course of this game. And now, what can you do more? It's 12.5 minutes into the game. We're still waiting on a few of these major objectives to really spawn. So maybe the play now is to look for a few scrappy fights that you know that you win because you've got this gold, because you've got these item advantages. And that means that when we start getting to the 20-25 minute mark and stuff like the Baron, stuff like the Dragon's Soul becomes relevant in the game, you're on that higher power level regardless.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I would actually like to see them, while turret platings are still up for these next few minutes, actually of switching the Zeri, so Reina and Marble going top side and just kind of brute forcing Nap to either go bot and match Kinatsu and lane swap for the last few minutes, just because, hey, we can probably get another 160 gold on Zeri. That's worth it. That's just always worth it to funnel as much gold into Marble, who is, or was at least, leading in the gold department per minute as an AD carry, which is crazy to think, as he's a rookie still.
Yeah. Especially at this point in the game, like, you don't expect AD carries to be super fed. No. Interestingly enough, we're actually seeing a Tiamat from Kinatsu on the night. Looks like it is going to be Titanic Hydra first. This isn't really something that we tend to see, but I guess the game plan is it means that you just push a little bit more effectively against the GP.
I think this is going to be a hull breaker game. I think this is going to be a hull breaker Gnar coming out. We're going to be seeing some weird Gnar technology coming out, but hey, AoE damage, this just means it's more effective at laning against a GP who's going to be able to push your lane super hard against a Gnar. Well, what can you do? Well, what about all of my auto attacks deal more damage so I can AoE faster and then win game harder? Question mark. That last part, we'll have to see if it actually works out for the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming. As it currently stands, Dasher has gone to the top side as Zeri is now mid. Kassin is going to be looking for something sneaky, and that is only an Orianna with a cleanse.
With a cleanse, but more members of Hawks are in the area. Liner and Blank, joining Dasher on this top half of the map, but Kassin and Primo still haven't been spotted. They are going to now be scouted out by the command attack, and Hawks may actually look for a play here. Reina stepping up, potentially fishing for a hook, but not going to find it.
No, CGA, you wasted at least 30 seconds on the idea of this play, and if it was just dissuaded by the idea of Blank and, well, it was more just Blank and Reiner just being in the near vicinity and command attack just going out was enough to dissuade you. Wow, how good was this play in the grand scale of things? That's not great because there wasn't really much on the map for you to take anyway, but then you could have been looking for another angle. You could have been looking for more opportunities because the worst thing has happened now. CGA is so far behind. Bounties are on now for the first Rift Tail. That is bad.
Yeah, that is really, really rough. I mean, you don't see many games that do have a 4,000 gold lead for one team at 15-minute marks, but that's what the Hawks have been able to do for themselves. And CGA, they haven't really thrown too many punches back. A lot of these advantages have just gone over fairly passively, and you can really see that with the CS discrepancies that we're seeing and the gold discrepancies that we're seeing. Hybrid down 2.3 thousand gold is absolutely disastrous, but we shouldn't ignore this mid lane differential as well. Dasher doing a pretty fine job on the Orianna.
Oh, he's doing a fantastic job on this. Orianna has done the one job that you must do ever since we saw it of Toys all the way back in Season 2, making Orianna look so cool as a champion. It took forever, honestly, till then for me to even think Orianna was a fun champion. You get a few items on her, you farm your wave, you have a ball carrier. By the way, Wukong's a really good one. And then you just press your ult, you do huge damage stacks, and you feel good. It's just how the champion works. Also really good at protecting your team. Yeah. Doing versatile stuff, dissuading the enemy team.
It's going to be important when you've got a Zeri as powerful as Marble is. Now, 20 seconds until the Hextech Drake joins us. That would be sole point for the Hawks around about 17 minutes into the game. So CGA will be put on a timer if they're not able to contest this successfully, but with the pressure that the Hawks have already secured around the Dragon Pit now, summoning the Herald in the mid lane, it might look to pick it up, but actually CGA forming a slight flanking maneuver and may just look to steal away this Drake without the Hawks even realizing.
They're going to get the tower. Now, how fast are Hawks coming over there?
They've just got this. They've just got this.
Yeah, lack of vision for some reason on the actual Dragon? That's
TP
weird.
in as well. Are the Hawks going to go for this? This is pretty far up for Blank and Liner to move. So, honestly, a little bit of a fumble there from the Hawks, and CGA able to capitalize, able to set that timer to 5 minutes longer, but now they're going to find a little bit of difficulty moving back into the mid lane.
Well, it was just the fact that they had no vision. You had no vision, Hawks. What did you think? You owned the map? Well, you kind of do, but not enough to where you can just assume the Dragon's going to be yours. Well played and really heads up by CGA, but there's a reverse fight.
Yeah, there goes the final chapter, and it's Kassin diving forward, but it's Hybrid diving back as here comes Ginatsu, slams 3 into the wall, a double kill for Dasher, as Nap trying to be a carry on the back half of the fight, able to pick up 2 for himself. It's now a 3v3, but Ginatsu in the mini form cannot fight this out. CGA, they lose their tower, but they take the fight.
Huge pickup from the side of CGA there, distinctively identifying the members that are going to be outputting a huge amount, dissuading them out of it. Lissandra ult was just honestly cracked there as we come into this replay to truly understand it. And the thing that really is identifiable here is you can tell the GP cannon barrage just caused so many problems. It really forced them into awkward spots, and Cocoon came in from such an awkward angle. But this GP ult comes through. It really kind of almost splits the team into 2 sides. You've got the team with the CC, and then you've got the team with the damage. And the damage department gets collapsed upon immediately by Cocoon. Nap as well then comes in, and then it's just like, well, our CC controllers and damage are in one side, our tanks are in the other. What can we do? We couldn't match the 2 up, and sadly, for the side of the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, that was a really bad fight.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Nap is really good at GP.
Yeah, Nap is really good at GP. Nap is really good at GP. But it shows the power of zone controls, especially actually because CJ were in a massive disadvantage, but they were able to execute on the fight. They were able to force the Hawks into areas that they really didn't want to be in, and the fact that you basically had free access onto Dasher in that black line is really a testament to the ability of CJ to just find these random weird fights in the mid game that for some reason go in their favor. The Hawks still definitely in the advantage, but there is the potential for things to go a little bit awry for them if they don't clean up their team fighting.
Oh god, hugely. I mean, Crest Gaming Act, they can still very much be in this game. I mean, they do need to get some gold onto Hybrid. They need to figure out a way of effectively funneling gold onto that poor Twitch, because at the moment, he is being left out to dry. Hasn't picked up a kill, sadly, at this point in time. Is struggling to actually get any gold, and this is a Baron that the side of CGA only just now know about.
Yeah, Blue Trinket and Hextech Rift, though, make it so easy to respond to those little Baron baits. No TP is going to be pulled as Kassin and Cocoon walking over. They are actually going to look for the engage. So many people caught with a devastating charge, and Hawks are on the run. Kiatsu jumping over the wall as it's already a kill picked
That's
up
Hybrid.
the Hybrid, and it's going to be a kill picked up to Blank as well. We were wondering how the Twitch gets some gold. How about a double kill?
All right, now this is Hyphy, and this might be a little bit bait, but they haven't got a Wukong anymore. So, I mean, this is actually something that the side of the CJ can go for. They can try and attempt this Baron. If not, they can maybe pull off and maybe find somebody. Dasher has got ultimate, so that is an opportunity for the side of the Hawks, but let's see how they're going to pull it.
Health bars are getting so low. The Glacial Claw thrown out, and CGA back off of the Baron. They recognize that that is a 5v3 that they do not win. But how about this 5v5 that they absolutely smashed?
Oh, not even a devastating charge, as you mentioned, but it's the final chapter that comes out along it as well. It prevents Marble from moving this whole time, where you actually want to be attacking everything that's going on. The GPO then comes through. It doesn't really land on many of the members, sadly, but it's able to just allow Hybrid enough time to get some more gold on them. Hey, this is a Twitch now that's got two kills, 150 ECS. This isn't a great spot to be in at 21 minutes, but hey, I've definitely been in this spot in solo queue, and it's very winnable.
Yeah, absolutely. Crucially, though, not going to be on that second item completed before this upcoming Hextech Drake. But for CGA, because they were able to sneak away that earlier Drake, this isn't soul for the Hawks. So if you don't feel comfortable about your positioning, you can just let them take this and go, we're going to be a bit more on parity in 5 minutes' time. Doesn't seem likely, though, Kassin and Cocoon posturing very aggressively.
Yeah, this is very aggressive on the side of CJ, because when you consider map control at this moment in time, this is all Hawks. They have got their waves set up in a sense where bot lane is already hard pushing. Blank is able to do a huge flanking? What was the terminology we were trying to make up here? Anyway, it doesn't matter because they're coming in.
Yeah, and they're engaging onto the Gnar, which isn't normally the best target, as Blank is diving onto the backline, and Reiner already low. Marble jumping over it is going to be succeeded by Cocoon, and the Twitch is already dead. Hybrid is not going to be able to contribute to this fight any further, but he may not need to, as Snap and Cocoon 2v2ing on the other side. Dasher missing the sombrero, but he's still going to be able to pick up the kill. Cocoon now in a 1v2, as Kassin and Primo were causing chaos on the other parts of the fight. 2 members alive for both of these teams. Jungler for CGA, but they don't want to go forward for the Drake.
I was super confused that Kassin and Primo didn't just go at Marble, like just brute smack. He's got Ghost. Like, you just press E, you just smack him. I'm sure that will kill him. Okay. Regardless, that worked out for the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks at the end there, but I think what's important to identify is, again, this is a GPO that just comes through and just literally barriers off half of the members of the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. Kinatsu gets taken so low at the early part of this, and while there's 2 fights happening again, there's one fight where Kassin and Primo win this, and there's one fight where CGA and the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks win this. That sombrero missing was so sad to see, but honestly, it's kind of what CGA needed to work out for them to actually probably hard win that fight. Sadly, It doesn't work out for them. Dragon does go over to the Hawks, so that's going to be in their back pocket for about probably 4 minutes and 30 seconds from now.
Yeah, and a criticism I've got there is, was it really necessary for Kassin and Primo to chase after Reiner on the back half of that fight? The Nautilus was already out, and it felt like the Orianna and that Zeri were so much more priority targets, so maybe a little bit of misplay there. And once again, it's Hawks who are just about maintaining the gold, maintaining the item advantage. But every time we get into these team fights, feels like a coin flip.
Well, it wouldn't be a CGA game if it wasn't, mate. It wouldn't be a CGA game.
It wouldn't be a CGA game.
It would be, and I mean that's why they are known as the coin flip team. That's how they are the team that can go down and lose your AD carry super early on. This feels like it's going to be died, and it'll be fine. Hybrid will find a way back into this. It's Chris Gaming Act, of course. They'll always have a way back into a match because there were objective bounties. They have been taken off. It is only now a 3k gold lead for the Fukuoka Softbank Hawks. Yes, they've got 3 dragons, but one has gone over to Crest Gaming Axe. And something that's going to be very big for the side of CGA is when they eventually start opening up a few of these lanes, because they still haven't secured a single turret on the map. And honestly, at this point in time, this is just slight laziness from the side of CGA, or slight just not being able to get out of a lane at all. It does look like they are putting a little bit of pressure to the top side, so it might be nice to see something, but then that does look like 4 members going top to just answer one push. So this feels like me and solo queue trying to get that one lane. I'm like, I'll get the tower, and then
we'll get
just the whole team
we'll get the
there.
tower. Yeah. But like, it is standing gold.
It is.
And if CGA can pick up Marble here, who is able to get over the wall, but he's still feared back, there's just too much lockdown, shutdown for Kasin. And without that Zeri, CGA are going to be happy to take any fight around this top side. Blank, though, very low. They are going to get the devastating charge onto the clone, but it is just a single kill for Crest Gaming Act. A big kill, but maybe not enough to get any more.
Looks like it will be just that. And without the dragon coming up, the side of Crest Gaming Act don't really want to invest in going in hard onto that Baron buff, because one, it's going to be a flip. Like, there's an Orianna on the opposite side. You just don't know. But what's crazy is how, like, the vision that CGA played around here, right? Marble had no idea they were on vision at this point. They just collapse onto them. They go heavily all in on this devastating charge actually to get over that wall, because you've still got vision. Really nice interactions there from Kasin, and just showing that they know the full extent of power. But sadly, they're not able to collapse upon anything else. They didn't have to use too much for that team fight, so not really much has been lost. And honestly, Marble's the one that lost more than anything, because the flash was gone for them, which they won't have for the next big team fight.
Natsu doing very, very well in the 1v1 up against Nap. Has opted into the Titanic Hydra and the Frostfire Gauntlet. So a little bit tankier, actually, than most NARs that we're seeing. The Trinity Force does seem to be the item of choice, but a little bit more HP, a little bit more of those defensive stats means that Kanatsu going to be stronger, being that frontline, being right at the vanguard of these fights. But it's going to be difficult for Hawks to play those out now, because we're starting to see itemization completions come through for CGA. Hybrid, already on 2 items, is going to be picking up that third very, very shortly. Already 3 items for Nap with that Lord Doms and the Mortal Reminder alongside the Trinity Force. This GP hurts, and there is enough damage from the rest of the CGA side to back it up.
God, the cost efficiency of some GP items is disgustingly gross, how cheap some of them are. But hey, I mean, that's why you play it. On the other side, though, Kanatsu's looking like he's going to be building a nature's force, I believe it's what
Force of nature.
Force of nature, not nature's force. Oh, that sounds better actually. Force of nature, that makes sense. It's a great magic card as well, because you +4/+4, but not quite what it does here.
A lot of damage there onto Hybrid as the Hawks start getting engaged off onto Kasin and Primo, but Cocoon finds himself in the middle of the fight. The Lissandra not able to find any effective CC though, and CG have burnt a lot of tools without actually gaining too much. Nap barrels over the wall, only onto Kanatsu though. The GP not quite finding the target access just yet.
Yeah, and the Hawks are just going to pull out the dragon, let it be there. No, come on, can we get it out a little bit more? Yes, Hawks, yes, pull it up to your north side, let it do that. And now Kasin and the side of CJ have to do this. Remember, they haven't got as many ultimates, whereas the side of the Hawks, they have got a fair few.
Yeah, that final chapter not available. Unstoppable Onslaught still is, though, and this is Soul Point. If Hawks get this, they get the Hextech Soul, and that would damn near win them the game. As Kasin diving forward, but he doesn't get the ultimate off in time. CGA are going to have to turn tail and run very rapidly out of there as the electricity flows through the Hawks' veins.
God, I just loved seeing how fast that pony ran the moment it looked bad. It was like, nope, I'm out, I'm done, I'm dusted. Oh, that was such a disappointment for Chris KBO. It looks like they had a really good chance, but now with this Soul, with a Zeri, and honestly a Nara as well to an extent. This feels like it's gone from bad to worse if you're a CGA fan. Sadly, there's been a lot of great moments. They just haven't always kind of matched up together for the side of CGA. Whereas the Hawks, They just got to wait this one out, honestly
Yeah.
speaking.
It was just the poke that was consistently coming through from the Ultra Shock laser, and honestly just incidental damage onto the members of CGA. And I think the big thing is that when we get into this fight, Cocoon isn't able to find that self-ultimate, so the Lissandra can't be that massive team fight tool to survive and make sure that CGA can get this going.
God, Reiner was so good with that point and click Q into the auto attack. Blank, and I mean, also huge credit goes over to Dash for just doing so much damage with that command protect. Command attack into command protect with as the ball comes back through, you deal the damage. Yeah, it just feels rough. But what could Cocoon done? I don't actually see a world where anything goes better for them and how they do that differently. Unless they go maybe to the very back of the dragon pit and try and find an angle. But like that's so hypothetical. I can't even bother. I don't even want to go into it because it already looks like they're in the dire straits with the Baron also being over for the Hawks.
Yeah, team fight dynamics are a very tricky thing as Ganansu solo pushing in the mid lane, maybe caught out as Kassin and Primo are waiting in the wings. Kassin not going to opt into the play, actually. Only level 13 here on the Hecarim. Obviously, that's parity with Blank, but those levels mean so much in terms of base stats, in terms of ability. And they are going to go for it, getting the devastating charge back onto the Gnar, going forward with the final chapter and the unstoppable onslaught. He's incredibly tanky, though. About to go Mega as well. Doesn't land the Gnar, but he doesn't need to. All he needed to do was buy time for Hawks. Get this bot lane push going. CJ are still committing to killing this now, and that's so much time invested. But look at the bot lane. You're about to lose a goddamn inhibitor.
No, you are going to lose a goddamn inhibitor, middle court. And what is that going to equal into? Maybe mid turret? Maybe mid turret. They should be able to secure this mid turret. But really, would you say that was worth CGA? Really? Mid turret for a kill on the top laner? Well, are they able to get something else here, Reiner?
Yeah, gonna be dashing away. Oh! Hex gets himself out of there. Oh! That crit from the Baron was massive. The cannon barrage as well. But it's not enough. The Nautilus is too damn tanky. Trying to walk away. Do CJ chase further for this? Actually going to be dropping the ultimate down onto Hecarim. Agreed. Definitely not good if you're a CJ fan. 2 picked up for the overextension in the jungle. And Cocoon may just fall as well. The self-ultimate to buy 2.5 seconds. But not a moment more. 3 kills for the Hawks off the back of CJ. Going a little bit too far.
I thought they were collapsing on Reiner. No. We turn on you, middle court. That's what Reiner was saying in comms. Goes down to basically a ruby crystal worth, maybe a gemstone's worth of health. Doesn't matter because turn it around. Believe in the team of power and friendship because honestly, that's how the Hawks feel right now as they're going to probably secure 3rd place well and truly on the table today.
Yeah, Hybrid has absolutely nowhere to go. Exploded as Primo comes out with the final chapter, but is the last sentence in CJ's story in this game. Although, hang on, Sassin is back onto the map. He's in a 2v4 with the Yumi on his back, and he's not going to be able to play this out. Son Goku fell to the Hawks last game day, and CJ will suffer a similar fate. 33 minutes on the clock. The Nexus falls down.
GG, well played, Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming. You had a plan, decisively went for it, and looked real clean, honestly, through a lot of that game. There were moments that Crest Gaming Act looked like there was a spark, an influence, an idea. But the dragon stacking and everything was always them. And that Hecarim just didn't work out, really.
I think like the Hecarim felt like it worked, but it was just CJ taking a couple of dodgy engages around that Hex set Drake, like we mentioned right at the end, just getting poked out, so you're not going to be able to secure the soul, and then greeding so much for that kill onto Reiner, investing so many tools before anyone even went down, and the fact that the Nautilus doesn't even die in the end just makes it all the more painful. But the Hawks, credit to them, with a little bit of shaky moments, are able to power through and win that game. We are going to be jumping to a short break before we break down how the Hawks claimed victory.
Well, first of all, let me open this segment by saying my condolences, Middlecott. That must have been a tough one to have to sit there and do the play-by-play for. But CGA had their moments in that game, but SoftBank Hawks just a little bit too clean here. Swan, break it down for me. Where did it all go wrong for CGA?
Well, partly in the pick and ban phase there, Dodge. I'll be honest with you. There were a lot of things going on that I'm not a huge fan of. I'll be honest. First pick Yumi. Not a fan of that. I'll be very honest with you. That was a big
But
warning sign.
go fast. You need to go fast.
Yes, and like in the hit TV show Players, where Yumi was the ultimate thing to get things going for them, it was not here for Crest Gaming Act. Also, you're meant to pick Yumi in a spot where you already have an AD carry that's good, and you're not going to get Nautilus hooked all the time. I don't know. There was so much going wrong for CGA there. The pick and ban phase wasn't good. How they played the early levels wasn't good. First blood going over to the Hawks, that's not good. A lot of not good things.
Yeah, getting those early kills over to the Zeri. Definitely the last target you want to have a nice cushy early game off the back of some early advantages. One thing I do want to shout out for CGA, though, Middlecott, you had sort of shined a light on this in the pregame, was that Cocoon looked great in the mid lane. I really am a fan of his play. I thought some of those mid-game fights on Lysandra, there wasn't more he could do to try and
Yeah.
win the game for his team.
Yeah, as long as we don't talk about that fight around the Hex Tech Drake, I'm absolutely fine. But yeah, I think Cocoon definitely fitting in a bit more. It was a different style of champion that we saw from Primo as well with the Yumi. I thought the final chapters in many cases were pretty good, and in terms of skill expression, that's kind of where it ends for the Yumi. I'm a little bit less upset about the draft in terms of CGA. I do think the Nautilus was a huge pick for Liner, and I think that if he was on something a little bit less proactive, then things go a lot better for CGA. But I think we need to be giving some props to the Hawks. Dasher and Marble did absolutely incredible in this game. I was worried that the Orianna wasn't going to be contributing to these fights in the same way that we're used to it from seasons past, because the champion has sort of fallen by the wayside a little bit. But the poke that they were consistently able to get out, some of the shockwaves were pretty decent. And the aggression from Marble to go forward, to dive in a lot of these fights and escape on slithers of HP was absolutely exceptional. Only died once on the Zeri this game against a composition that had a hell of a lot of lockdown, a hell of a lot of zoning tools. I think we really need to be praising this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did see it go right at certain times for CGA with these team fights, Swan, especially I think about that mid lane deep TP flank that they did come through. And it sort of looked like they might pull the game back into parity for a second there.
They did, but the issue was Crest Gaming Act just weren't able to really capitalize on a moment like that right in the game. They weren't able to really open up the map at all throughout this whole match, which was honestly the biggest issue that they ended up falling into, because when it came around for some of these dragon fights, the Baron that was then later on taken for the Crest Gaming Act, well, for the Hawks, that was already gone. But beforehand, if they had already pushed in some of these towers, if they would have been able to secure some just vision on the map half the time, there could have been a lot more angles for Crest Gaming Act. The issue was they didn't get that, and then they get poked out in the team fights. They have no idea where the flank's coming from, and Blank also played really good on the, well, he was just great on this Wukong because he always found how to get on to hybrid, and that was the only person he seemed to care about.
And I think the key thing for me about that mid lane team fight is it's where we saw the zoning tools used by Crest Gaming Act effectively. I don't actually think that Nap had a particularly good game on the GP. The scoreline looks great at the end, but a key part of that champion is the cannon barrages, especially against this sort of composition from the Hawks, which can be so kitey, which can play around zones of control so well. You just need to drop it on their heads and split the fight up. And apart from that mid lane, we never really saw that come to fruition from CGA.
No, unfortunately not. It felt like when they were getting fights on their own terms, with the flanks, with the Hecarim ultis from out of vision, it was looking good for them, but it was more so SoftBank Hawks in control throughout that match, and it sort of mitigated a lot of the tools they did have. One last point I do want to touch on before we do throw it to the break here is that I thought it was very funny the way that Kassin really wanted to kill Rhina on that Nautilus. 2 fights, one around the Drake, and he's dragging poor Primo along with him because the cat does not have the agency to get off the horse. And I mean, that's true to real life. You put a cat on the back of a horse, it's probably holding on for dear life. So, yeah, unfortunately, there's a little bit of trolling. We do a little bit of trolling as CGA, but overall, I think not a bad effort from Crest Gaming. SoftBank Hawks' ascendancy continues as they move up to 10 wins here, right hot on the heels of Sengaku. It's pretty scary stuff.
Oh, yeah. But
And we might be living in a world where the Hawks actually make a deep run in playoffs.
That would be something special.
I'm not. No. I've been burnt far too many times before. This is the best Hawks have ever looked. We haven't finished the split yet, so
there's still time for it to come crashing and burning, but we will see in the coming days as we are closing out the second round robin today if they do keep this up through the third round robin. But for now, we will be throwing it to a break ahead of game number 3 on the day. So go get your snacks at the bathroom. We'll return shortly.